A little. Oh, this is down a little. You can get your hand in there. And I'm pushing with my whole hand. I don't want to like stick my thumb through the side, but I want to use all my fingers and kind of push on it gently and even things out that way. So that's good. Now I turn a little more. And just keep turning it until you get everything even all the way around. Now those of you who are smoothing the outsides and luting the outsides of the pot, we've been using the serrated rib. Now that you have these larger areas, these larger sort of expanses of clay, you can take this and just do like a brief check. Kind of go diagonally straight. If your lines are nice and straight, like on here, then you're good. If not, just make sure any bumps and lumps are out, things like that. Oh, I just realized I forgot one thing to bring over here. I can take this side, and because it's a longer height of the area of the side of my pot, word finding issues right now, I can make sure that everything is really even. So I'm starting to think of how that form and that surface is coming together. The other thing that works really well, do I have it here? I do. I have some wooden little plank things. Rulers work well too. If it's really sticky, don't use the rulers because it will stick to the metal. The wood, not such a big deal. And this is pretty even. I don't have to do much. But if you have little lumps and bumps, paddling works well to just kind of come around. There's a little one here. This one really doesn't have much to fix up. This will work well too, just to kind of even out things a little bit. So that's an option for evening your form out. And just making sure everything is symmetrical or unsymmetrical as you want to get everything even. So, what was the first one?
Form.
Oh, good job. Not as enthusiastic as this, that's still good. The next one is the lip. Now the parts of a pot coincide to names of your body, but it doesn't make sense. This is your lip. The foot is here. In a traditional pot, you'll have the body of the pot, the main part, and then often a neck, or like an area where it kind of comes in. They'll have these little sections like that. So, this one's got like a long neck. Those are the only, there's others, you can talk about like the shoulders, it comes around, but the most important ones, the ones we're going to talk about the most, are the lip and the foot. So if you want it to be level, you want it to even it out, and I showed you this in the beginning too, but just as a reminder, nice clean flat board, set it on top, and say, all right, this side's a little taller, you can tap that down. Make sure as you do that, you're not squishing it someplace else, because that's really common to squish it someplace else unintentionally. So I'm just going to tap that until it looks as even as I want it to be. Take that off. The best thing to do is to first make sure your coils are as even as you can get them. And then what's going to happen typically is this is going to get a little wider because you smooshed it. So then if you take a loop tool, or you can take a needle tool or a fettling knife and just slice a little bit of that extra off where you had to flatten it a little so that it's even all the way around. And that you're going to want to go on top and check it, but so you can all see better. It's a little tall for me. All right, so I could level it that way. I remember I showed you things where you can add details like little spirals of coils, little balls of clay, little, like vertical pieces, add a piece around the top. You can also, like this one has this really interesting organic feel to it right now, so sometimes just giving it almost like a wavy look or something, kind of move it that way. Like this one, they actually thin this edge and cut more of a wave into it and then repeated that. Anything you can do to make the parts of your pot relate are nice, subtle details to bring the whole thing together. So this student chose to smooth it, give the wavy look, repeat that on the neck, and then they actually repeated that on the foot too. So it's 3 different times to bring it together. This one, they leveled. Sometimes students will level and then create like more of an edge, like you can take something like this and kind of slice an edge in there so it's nice and straight. This one they thinned and brought the top pieces out. So you can do a lot of different things. I mentioned lids. If you're going to do a lid, you can build it up with coils and have it kind of come to a piece and then kind of cut it. And I'll show you how to cut. I'm going to have a fettling knife at an angle with the fettling knife so that it sort of sits in place. If you want it to be flat, you can make a slab just like you did for your base. And then we need a little piece called a flange, which is something that sits inside the lid. So this is a very quick, not that nice lid. Look at my beautiful lid. Not really, we're pretending right here. I'm going to borrow a little piece of your clay. That's all right. Right here, over there. It's like, wait, where'd she go? But something that kind of hangs down, and I actually like to, I'll kind of take it and flatten it a little bit on the sides. just to give it a little more, it's easier to score and slip a flat edge right there. And then on my beautifully measured circular lid, I would score and slip this piece in here, and this is called the flange. Again, another fun, bizarre word. So that when I set it on here, the flange holds the lid in place. If you don't have a little piece right here to hold the lid in place, the first time someone looks at the pot, like, oh, it's so pretty, and they pick it up to look at it, the lid falls on the floor and it's in pieces. And you're like, that was so weird. So if you put the little piece on there, that helps. And then there's no sadness when someone is admiring your pot, right? So, and this is called the what? The lip. This is called the what?
The lip.
The lip. Thank you very much. Now, so the lip, I can make it level, I can make it uneven, I can add different things. I have lots of options for the lip, but it's like the end point. It's saying this is how I want my pot to end, not like this is where I ran out of coil and I want to be done. Like this. That's 10 inches. I am done. Like that doesn't look done, right? It is not finished. So, keep going. Make that end nice and even. All right, so that's ideas for the lip. The next part is the, you remember? Remembers?
Foot.
The foot. Very good. The foot. So now I take the foot. This one curves in. So I want to make it curve in the same all the way around, but I want to stop my glaze. Does this one have it? Yes. This one had this lovely decorative looking foot. But glaze bonds to whatever it touches. It's liquid glass, and when it melts, it's just going to like function into it. And you don't want your pot to bond to the kiln shelf, because then when you take it off, it breaks. That's sad, right? All your hard work. So having just a little edge, it's kind of hard to see, a little edge here to know where to stop your glaze makes your life easier. We're going to put a little wax on that edge, and then when you dip your project in the glaze, it doesn't stick there. You can just wipe it right off. Because this is rounded, I'd probably take something, where's the other one I had? This one. I like this angle. I tried different angles because there's a bunch of different wood sculpting tool edges and points. I would come around with this, let it sit on the table, and come around this way so I know I have a slight edge. And it's not, I'm just making a slight mark here so I know where to stop my glaze, and by resting it on the table I know it's the same height all the way around. So I'd come all the way around, line that up, and then I know that's where I'm going to stop my wax and stop my glaze. Now for something like this one, oh, this is sticking. Got it. There we go. For something like this one, this was my sample piece from the beginning, for here I would use a loop tool, and I want the flat edge of the loop tool so I get a nice flat cut. I don't want the rounded one because then I get an uneven edge, it's not nice. There's the other bunch of loop tools out there. I have a lot of random things for you to try out. Not these. This one. The circle end, the flat end, you want the flat end. So I'm going to set this again on the table, and I'm going to take it and just scooch it around so I know that I get an indent all the way around. And I mentioned now that they're getting big, you don't really want to pick them up much, but for this part, I pick it up. And just run your thumb around here. Maybe have a friend hold it for you if it's too heavy and they're big. Some of yours are getting kind of big. And that way, I don't want to cut off my bottom. I want to just have a little edge there to define my foot. A nice clean foot is a mark of a well-made pot. You won't even notice it if it's nice and straight and clean. If you kind of take this and you're like, it's kind of like this, that it's going to carve an edge in, then you notice it because that looks crappy, right? So you get nice. There you go. All right, so that's one way to do a foot. If your coils are showing, then that bottom coil is just your foot. You don't have to worry about it. Or if you can see where your bottom slab is, that's fine too. So we have the first thing, the shape or the form. I'm sorry, what was the big part here?
Form.
The form, very good. The top edge is the,
Lip.
the bottom edge is the,
Foot.
okay, the enthusiasm is waning for that, isn't it? Now I want to talk about my surface. If your coils are showing, remember I said don't worry about the little things. If you try and smooth these, you're going to flatten your coils, they won't look good. Now is the time. When it's leather hard, it's not plastic clay anymore, it's not the movable squishy clay anymore. Now it's leather hard, and you can do things on the inside too. Thinking about that, ooh, look at how nice and even that is. It's like a cool texture. If we see inside, think about the surface inside too. I kind of get distracted right there. I was talking about the coils, then I went to the inside. But whatever we see, especially like this top part, when you look in, you see that. So don't forget to fix up that surface too. So now we're on the surface part. Inside looks good. Outside, I'm going to take just a brush, a stiff brush. with water and just go over that. And all those little cracks will go away like magic. Now this I call the Fluffies. This is a fluffy brush. Fabulous for adding glaze because it soaks up a lot of glaze. Fluffies, horrible for cleaning up your coils. This, no, don't use that, no. You want the stiffer, flat brushes like this. This is better. And don't throw your brushes, it's not kind. So I get a little cup of water. There we go. Little bit. And then, let's see, we'll do down here because there's a few more cracks down there. But the nice thing about this, and you gotta let it sit a little, so you gotta stop before the end of class just a little bit. So you don't like muck it up when you put it away then. But look at that, it's like the magic. Did you see those cracks that were there? Now they're gone. Poof. It's like a long poof. It's not like poof, they're gone. It's like poof, and then they go away slow, see? But it really doesn't take that long, and because it's a brush and not your big clumsy finger that's flattening your coils, it keeps the nice shape of your coils, and it gives you beautiful, smooth coils. It's like Vanna White, like that. See? Do you guys know who Vanna White is? Is she still on the show? Does anyone watch Wheel of Fortune? No? Okay, good. Good for you. Who made a career of turning letters like this? Good for her, I say. All right, so that's if you have coils showing. If you don't have coils showing, hopefully it's become nice and smooth by using the serrated rib like you've been doing. But then you have lots of options. You can go smooth, but you don't have to. You can do things like, well, here, we talked to you smooth. I'll come back to that. You can do things like add different textures. I know some of you like the texture of just the rough serrated rib. You can do that. You can add texture with your glaze if you do want it smooth. You can add different things, but think about what doing with your surface, what will complement the surface of your piece, or complement your form, like the three things there. I have other things here with surface ideas. Ooh, this one. This is lace that's pressed into the clay. This little texture here. And I have here my textured fabrics box of fun. What do I call it? Ooh, cool textured fabric box. There you go. So that's what it looks like if you have one of those. This is another piece of lace that works lovely. This one, it was a curtain, actually, when I moved in my house. Didn't like it. It actually kind of looks like snakeskin on there. You don't really see the flowers, but this kind of looks like snake scales. If that interests you, I got a couple of those. Got like some Brillo patty looking things. This was a loofah sponge, which makes a cool like gnat looking. This was a giant bag of peanuts that I bought to feed the cardinals in my yard that never came. But look, you can kind of pull it and like put it across. I'll show you this one. But for something like this, and I'll take this all off, Veronica, don't worry. You could take something like this, lay it on there, and then anything round will work. Like the back of a spoon works nice, the rounded part of your wood sculpting tool works nice, but you just take it and kind of like burnish it in there, rub it in until the clay makes it all crusty and yucky. Oh, really? Stay with me 1 minute right now. And then, ooh. So you can use these, okay. Take two. So, we have the fabric idea for the surface. And then I also have these rollers. I don't have the little handles anymore. Those are gone. But you can roll these. There's one that looks like tire tracks. This one kind of looks like sand or something. I have files that you can press in. You can do the edges. And remember when we practiced with the tools from way back, even though you know what it's used for, you can carve things away. I'm not going to go very deep because this is not my project, but I would go further in. I would go like get enough texture in there because the glaze will interact with the texture and do nice things. I have a couple of these. This is actually from a toy that you can take, and then it just sort of comes around. This may not go so well right now because I'm trying to hurry. But then as you come around, it makes like a band of design and just lots of different things. So don't be limited by what you think the tool should do. Try different things for what the tool might do. Maybe it's like this, and then you do a complex texture. You do something over top of it. So you can have lots of possibilities there. I also have some of these rollers that can make nice details or designs or bands or things like that. Again, I'd press harder. I just don't want to because it's not mine. I have a little grid one. These are fun. I think these are things like that. So you can play with those, fabric, textures, carvings, all kinds of stuff. Stay away from words, stay away from symbols, textures, because the coil pots are all about form and what you can create form-wise. So let it be about interacting with that form. Textures, smooth parts next to a texture can be nice. Smooth is a texture. And don't forget, lip, foot, form, surface to finish it.